Hello everyone, welcome to Mastermind. Today, let us learn more about Chola Empire by solving few more multiple choice questions. Let us consider the first question now. Consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. All lands were carefully surveyed and classified for assessment of revenue in Chola Empire. Land revenue system was called as Puravoridinai Kalam under the Chola Empire. Both the statements are correct here, therefore the right option is option C, both 1 and 2. The land revenue system was well organized under Chola Empire and it was called as Puravur Idinai Kalam. All lands were carefully surveyed and classified for the assessment of revenue in Chola Empire. This is a characteristic feature of revenue system of any empire. So statement 1 should be cakewalk for you, whereas statement second is factual. Second statement is factual, so you will have to know what it was called as. The land revenue system under the Chola Empire was called as Puravur Idinai Kalam. Therefore, option C is the right option here. Consider the second question now. Consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. Perundanam and Sirudanam were officials under Chola Empire. The residential portion of the village was called Urnattam in the Chola Empire. Both the statements are correct here. Therefore, the right option is option C, both 1 and 2. Perundanam and Sirudanam were various officials who were a part of elaborate administrative machinery. They were a part of administrative machinery under the Chola Empire. The residential portion of the village was called Urnattam. These and other lands, such as the lands belonging to temples, were exempted from tax. Third question says, consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. Kulottunga I became famous by abolishing tolls and earned the title Sungam Thaviritta Cholan. The central authority became weak under the rule of Kulottunga III. Again here both the statements are correct, therefore the right option is option C, both 1 and 2. During the hard times, there were remission of taxes in Chola Empire, and Kulottunga I is very famous for abolishing tolls and earned the title Sungam Thaviritta Cholan. Sungam Thaviritta Cholan. The central authority became weak under the rule of Kulottunga III because Kulottunga III was not an able ruler like everyone else. So the central authority had become weak under the rule of Kulottunga III. Fourth question says, consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. The royal troops were called as Kaikola Perumpadai in Chola Empire. Velaikarar was the person troop to defend the Chola kings. Here, both the statements are correct again. Therefore, the right option is option C, both 1 and 2. The Cholas maintained a regular standing army consisting of elephants, cavalry, and then cavalry, infantry and navy. Infantry as well as navy. About 70 regiments were mentioned in various inscriptions. The royal troops were called Kaikola Perumpadai. The royal troops were called as Kaikola Perumpadai. Within this, there was a personal troop to defend the king known as Velaikarar. So, both the statements are correct here. Fifth question says, consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. Kadagams were the military cantonments in Chola Empire. Cholas controlled the Malabar and Coromandel coasts. Both the statements are correct here. Therefore, the right option is option C, both 1 and 2. In the Chola Empire, attention was given to the training of the army and military cantonments called Kadagams existed. The Cholas also paid special attention to their naval power. The naval achievements of Cholas reached its zenith during the Chola period. They controlled the Malabar and Coromandel coasts. So Malabar and Coromandel coasts were under the control of Cholas. In fact, Bay of Bengal was called as Chola Lake for some time. Bay of Bengal was called as Chola Lake for some time during the reign of Cholas. Sixth question says, consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. The Chola Empire was divided into sections called mandalams. Royal princes were in charge of mandalams. Both the statements are correct here. Therefore, the right option is option C, both 1 and 2. The Chola Empire was divided into mandalams. They were divided into sections called mandalams, and the royal princes or officers were in charge of mandalams. Therefore, option C is the right answer. Seventh question says, consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. Mandalams were divided into Nadus in Chola Empire. Nadus were under the control of Periyanattars. Here, both the statements are wrong. Therefore, the right option is option D, neither one nor two. The Mandalams, Chola Empire was divided into sections called Mandalams, and Mandalams were further divided into Valanadus, not Nadus but Valanadus, and the Valanadu was under the control of Periyanattars, not Nadus but Valanadus were under the control of Periyanattars. Next question says, consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. Nadus were divided into Valanadus in Chola Empire. Valanadus were under the control of Nattars. Again, both the statements are wrong here. Therefore, the right option is option D, neither one nor two. Under Chola Empire, the empire was divided into sections called Mandalams. So, Mandalams were further divided into Valanadus, and Valanadus were divided into Nadus. So, statement 1 says Nadus were divided into Valanadus. No, Valanadus were divided into Nadus, while Valanadus were under the control of Periyanattars. Nadus were under the control of Nattars. So, statement 2 says Valanadus were under the control of Nattars. It's wrong. Nadus were under the control of Nattars. Therefore, the right option here is option D. Ninth question says, consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. Towns were called as Nagarams in Chola Empire. Nagarattar was the council to administer towns under the Chola Empire. Both the statements are correct here. Therefore, the right option is option C, both 1 and 2. The towns were called as Nagarams in Chola Empire, and Nagarattar was the council to administer towns under the Chola Empire. As we have already seen, Mandalam is divided into Valanadus. Valanadus are further divided into Nadus, and Nadus were divided into villages. Please remember, this is the hierarchy, administrative hierarchy under the Chola Empire. Mandalams, Valanadus, Nadus. Mandalams were under the in charge of princes or officers. Valanadus under Periyanattars, Nadus under Nattars. The towns which were called as Nagarams were administered by a council called as Nagarattar. This is the right statement. Last question for the day says, consider the following statements regarding Chola Empire. So this says that Uttaramerur inscriptions are attributed to the period of Chola monarch Parantaka I, and then statement 2 says it provides the details of formation and functions of village councils. Both the statements are correct here. Therefore, the right option is option C, both 1 and 2. Uttaramerur inscriptions. The two inscriptions belonging to the period of Chola monarch Parantaka I were found at Uttaramerur, and they are known as Uttaramerur inscriptions. They provide the details of formation and functions of village councils. Village, according to this inscription, the village was divided into 32 wards. The villages were divided into 32 wards, and each was to nominate its members to the village council. The qualifications to become a ward member were ownership of at least 1/4 of Valley land, 1/4 Valley of land, 1/4 Valley of land, and then the person to get nominated should have had own residence in the village, above 30 years of age and below 70 years of age, and knowledge of Vedas. Knowledge of Vedas should be there in the person. So, the qualifications to become a ward member were ownership of at least 1/4 Valley of land, own residence, above 30 years and below 70 years of age, and then knowledge of Vedas. So, this is all about MCQs based on Cholas part 2. Please try to solve the questions before watching the video for solutions. Thank you.